ex-minister returns to US.
The persons behind the headline.
No provision in there of where subsidy. The where subsidy is gone. We shall continue the effort of the Buhari administration.
We must now, more than ever before, come together to pull Abia State out of our current sorry state and quagmire. I must also state that our state has never been this divided along ethnic lines. And your reactions to the headline.
If you look at it, you know that the people are agitating from one place to another. But the result has been announced. If anybody has any problem, let that person go to court. My own is that the fake promise that he used to deceive Nigeria. This time around, we are waiting for him.
Do you want to keep tabs with trending national, state, or local issues? Then listen to Open Parliament every weekday on Family Love 99.9 FM. Omahia. Open Parliament, when the issues are burned.
When I told you that the man is confused, the man doesn't know a direction. He failed because he was unprepared. You cannot get something from nothing. So they are just trying to find someone to blame for their failure. So they failed and failed mostly.
So the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on Sunday delivered his second nationwide broadcast since his inauguration. This time it was in commemoration of Nigeria's 63rd independence anniversary. Yes, because Nigeria celebrated its 63 years as an independent nation. Well, the President's broadcast reinstated his pledge to reshape and modernize our economy and to secure the lives, liberty, and prosperity of the people. That's the national. Well, for the state, a little bit of controversy as the Abia State government was made to refute claims drawn from two press briefings by a group of youth. The first press conference, the group alleged that the governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, was using Abia State funds to sponsor the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi at the tribunal. The second press conference, another group alleged that the governor, Dr. Alex Oti, is sponsoring the indigenous people of Biafra to cause terror in the state government of just 4 months. Well, the special advisor to the governor on media and publicity, Mr. Ferdinand Ikoma, refuted those claims and asked security agencies to go after the culprits. This and more It's what we'll be talking about this morning on Open Parliament. And I'm being joined by my guest, a fellow of ethical leadership from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, a recipient of Zix Award on Innovation and Creativity, a pioneer inductee, National Integrity Hall of Fame, former Argonne Secretary General, a fellow of Chartered Institute of Forensics and Fraud Investigators of Nigeria, Interpol Systems Consultant and Security Expert, Sir Chikwe Udensi. We have him virtual this morning. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Open Parliament.
Good morning, Mr. C. Thanks for having me.
Well, my name is Mr. C. The program is Open Parliament. Weekdays on this frequency where we bring you the biggest stories making headlines in Nigeria, in Abia, and definitely beyond. Well, let's start from the president's speech, and that celebrating Nigeria's 63rd independence anniversary. What do you make of, first of all, 63 years as an independent nation, Nigeria, before we have you do some takeaways of the president's address? Let's start from there, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. C. If you look exactly into the various affairs of the nation, if you consider that at 63, with the revenues and with the resources available to us, both human resources, natural resources, and also see the extent to which we are right now, you will not be shocked to say that we have not done much. The country have not done much, especially if you consider that countries like Singapore, if you see what Lim Kuan Yew did within 20 years in Singapore, within 20 years, Lim Kuan Yew moved Singapore from third world to first world with minimal resources. And they don't even have as much resources as we have here. The truth is that our resources within these 63 years have been mismanaged, misappropriated, and have rendered us more poverty than we were before the anniversary. So, if you ask me, Mr. C, there is not much to celebrate. All we need to do is to have hope that more will come in future. You can also see, especially the states in the West, Osun, etc., they have not necessarily celebrated. Even the government themselves, they did not celebrate because there's nothing to celebrate. There was only a pass-out parade, march past parade that was done in the villa. So it was not the usual celebration that is always done at the Eagle Square, where the nation gathers and celebrates their anniversary of their independence. This time around, there was sober reflection, very sober reflection. And people are saying, we need a better days ahead. And that's exactly what we should be looking at, not celebrating anything at 63.
Well, as expected, the president gave his Independence Day speech, and the president did promise in the said speech to reinstate and reshape and modernize our economy and secure the lives, liberty, and property of the people. He also highlighted the various policies his government has put in place so far, including the much talked about removal of fuel subsidy. What for you would you say are the takeaways from the president's address?
Yes, there are quite a few very promising takeaways. If you recall, but I told you earlier that this government is sizably impressing me with the way they are doing things. The government appears to be very focused, very determined, and understands exactly what they are doing. If you ask me, I'm making an honest judgment in this area. My takeaway from this is the 25,000, which is now, according to the agreement with the organized labor, it is now going to be 35,000 across board for for every federal civil servant. And also the removal, we sustain the removal of subsidy, which most of us agree with, and also the key forex market, the double forex market we have in the country, which everybody says was one of the major problems of the currency instability in the country. I hope with the new team in CBN, things will get a little better. Also, you mentioned the subsidy to the states. I hope that with this palliative for the federal employees, the states will now find ways to use the subsidy given to them, especially the 5 billion per state, and also the grains, the fertilizers, and the wheat provided for each state. I hope they will augment it, like a few states are doing right now, Kogi, Benue, and also a very robust arrangement from Lagos State. I hope other states will key in ensuring that the citizens do not suffer so much from the removal of the fuel subsidy. Also, the one of the very good ones I have to align with is the PNG, the natural gas buses, the use of natural gas buses that will be made available for federal civil servants. Eventually, I'm told that it will go around to other members of the society, but the emphasis here is on federal civil servants. So with this emphasis on federal civil servants, I hope the states will key in to ensure that there are also provisions for their state employees. Also the CBN probe, which so many people are happy with. People that are saying that most of our problems were caused by some of the inconsistent policy of the CBN. You also talked about the tax regime. There is rejigging of our tax administration. We still have this, it will benefit the society. But more importantly, Mr. C, is the issue of security and safety. Safety and security. Most of these things will not come to play if there's no effective security, if lives and property are not secured, if the law enforcement agencies are not properly tooled, they are not properly provided with the necessary tools that are required to guarantee the minimum safety and security in the society. And also the armed forces, not just the security agencies. Like you know, Mr. Chris, our armed forces today are very poorly tooled, despite the billions we are told that are made available every year for them. So these are the takeaways I've seen, Mr. P, and I have no doubt that if these things are put in proper perspectives and commented properly, we shall see some light at the end of the tunnel.
What impact do you think? I would like for us to have you dissect more on some of the takeaways, particularly the big one has to do with the cash award to federal workers, 25,000, which was vehemently rejected by the Labour at the initial state, and we understand they have settled for 35,000. But isn't it surprising that nothing definitive was stated in the president's speech with regards to maybe building new refineries or getting to rehabilitate the existing refineries? Because a lot of Nigerians believe, hey, that would be half solved the so many problems of our country if we have our refineries working.
Yes, Mr. C, the emphasis of this government, if I understand the president very well, you recall in his inaugural speech, he said that we will not invest in new refineries. What the most they can do is to encourage private-owned refineries. Private investors should go into refineries while making sure that our moribund refineries are put back to work. So that is a very fortified arrangement to make sure that there is petroleum products in the country. If you ask me, Mr. C, I will say that this is a very good one in the right direction. But apart from the 25% increment across the board for all federal civil servants, which, like I said earlier, was eventually increased to 35,000 for every civil servant. Apart from that, Mr. Chief, there are so many takeaways from the agreement which just happened, the signed agreement which just happened between the federal government and the Labour. That is an area where one.
Open Parliament still live on the frequency. Interpol Systems consultant and security expert, a guest on the program this morning. We've gotten back on this connect. Well, before the sudden interruption, sir, you were going to talk about the memorandum of understanding signed by between the federal government on the one side and the organized labor. As a matter of fact, there was meant to be a nationwide strike to commence yesterday, but that was suspended, and part of it has to do with the renegotiated 35,000 between the federal government and the labor. You want to take it up from there?
Yes, let me first of all commend this government for their approach to ensuring that the system works, the national system works and works effectively. Like I said earlier, I have commended this government, federal government, for the proactive ways they have taken in doing things. Mr. C, you and I know that this is a sharp contrast from the Buhari incompetencies and arrogance. The government of Buhari wouldn't have taken these steps this government is taking. The government of Buhari showed extreme incompetence and allowed this country to so much degenerate into the level we are today. You can imagine that students were out of school for almost 1 year over something that ought to have been negotiated with the way this government is negotiating it. Mr. C, there was a warning strike, indefinite one, that was to commence on the 3rd. Was it 2nd or 3rd?
Yeah, third. That was supposed to be yesterday.
Yes, it was supposed to commence on the 3rd of this month. Mr. C, look at how proactive government was in ensuring that this did not happen. They came down from their various high horses and ensured it didn't happen. And look at what we have arrived at now. Number one, Mr. C, every federal civil servant is to receive 35,000. And in that this was put down by way of agreement, Mr. C. The buses are to be put in place. The compressed natural gas buses are to be put in place for every civil servant. And there is a body that has been set up now to negotiate a new minimum wage that will come into effect, according to them, in 21 days. And there are waivers, tax waivers. Initially, we heard about that the personal income tax will be suspended for the first 6 months, but we understand that they have signed that the VAT, the value added tax on diesel, will be suspended for the next 6 months. It's actually, these are very proactive levels. These are very proactive steps by a government that is sensitive to the needs of the people. And also, the beauty of it, Mr. B, is that all these agreements were now sent to court as a consent judgment. So it is not a judgment of court. It is no more an agreement between federal government and the organized private organized labor. It is now an agreement between, it's a judgment of court, I'm sorry. Judgment of court. So if you have that put in place, all parties will be happy. And then it will be now left to governors to ensure that the palliatives and the funding that has been sent to them by the federal government, 5 billion naira per state, grains, wheat, and fertilizers. It is hoped that the state will ameliorate this effort to make sure that the sufferings of the people are reduced minimally.
Let's look at the organized labor now. They have come under severe criticism from Nigerians for what they perceive as the labor being a dog that cannot bite, a toothless bulldog like they would usually say. And not the first time they have threatened the nationwide strike that has failed to materialize. Do you think they were too fast to have suspended the said nationwide strike?
No, Mr. C. They were not too fast. They did what they ought to do. They achieved some serious milestones in ensuring that government created palliatives for the people. Mr. C, this was what was agreed earlier, before government deviated and started giving the palliatives to states to share. And if you recall, Mr. C, I was one of those who opposed giving state governors palliatives to share, because it will not serve any useful purpose. It will not get to the people. It will be used as a political tool, even against perceived political enemies. So what Labour did was they gave a warning that by the 3rd of this month, we shall commence an indefinite strike. But what government did was government became proactive and said, no, we don't need any strike at this time, at this lifetime of the government. So what we are going to do is negotiate with the organized private sector. And Mr. C, this is high-level negotiation. Look at those who were there. Apart from the Minister of State for Labour and Minister of Labour, the National Security Advisor, the principal secretary to the government, and the Chief of Staff to the President. This encompasses the government that ought to discuss with them, not just low-level government staff that often come with the Buhari government. If you ask me, Mr. C, this is a very great improvement on what we had with the previous government. They were very proactive. They made sure that we didn't suffer, the country did not suffer. And with this, with a constant judgment coming from the agreement, I have no doubt in my mind that all parties will obey it and it will be better for the society.
Well, let's stay with the cash award of 35,000 to federal workers, because a lot of Nigerians, on average Nigerians, will probably be listening now and say, hey, come on, how do I get to have an impact of this said funds for those of them who are not engaged in salaried employment? Because figures from the Budget Office of the Federation through the Director General, Mr. Ben Akaboeze, early this year, in August precisely, did put federal workers to be at 1.5 million. And well, from the said data, the National Bureau of Statistics as well showed that only about 11.8% of working-age Nigerians were engaged in wage employment in the first quarter of 2022. How then would other Nigerians, you think, get the benefits of this cash award when we're just having the paltry figure of just 1.5 million Nigerians in a country where we have over 200 million people? How do they benefit from this, you think?
Well, Mr. C, unfortunately, you and I know, the economy knows, the society knows, that over 70% of the economy of the country is based on the informal sector. So when it is based on the informal sector, what will the formal sector do? It will have what we call the trickle-down effect. It will roll down on the people. If the man who sells in the market adjusts the cost of his product to suit his benefits, it has a trickle-down effect from the benefits that has been gotten by the organized civil service. So what happens here, Mr. C, is that as things are increasing in the marketplace, as the open market is increasing its prices, income in the public sector is adjusted. So you cannot adjust income in the private sector because it is essentially a non-visual sector. It's not a manageable sector. It's an informal sector. Over 70% of our economy relies on. So that is where we are, Mr. C. It will have what we call the forces of push and pull. Those forces of push and pull will adjust itself. If the income is decreasing, everybody's income will increase exponentially because those who are selling are going to also adjust their income, adjust their profit levels. These are normal, natural adjustment systems, Mr. C. It will balance itself out. But the important thing is that those who have fixed income in service, the people in the federal civil service, in the state service and local government should be able to adjust their income to be equidistant to inflation. As the inflationary trend is going up, income should be adjusted. That is exactly what is required, Mr. C. And once that happens, that is the various economic operatives will be put in place.
Open Parliament, it is midweek edition. Interpol Systems consultant and security expert Chikwe Udensi, our guest. In case you just tuned in and you feel to have a reaction, on the flip side, the phone lines will be thrown open just for that. We'll be going for a break shortly, but let's move to Abia State, our own state, where the governor, Dr. Alex Otis, seems to be on the move to transform the state to its desired Eldorado. First of all, earlier in the week, in fact last week, commencement of payment for those whose properties are going to be affected by the demolition as a result of the government's planned expansion of Osa Road. That's one of it. Again, there appears to be hope inside for commuters and motorists plying the nightmarish about Port Harcourt Expressway, as the state government has announced that palliative work would commence on the road, and this is going to be in 4 weeks' time. And as if that's not enough, Saturday, the governor officially performed the groundbreaking for the first Abia Industrial Innovation Park at Owaza in Okwa West local government area, stating that the project marks the beginning of industrial revolution in the state. What do you make of this project, and backed upon by the state government? Barely 5 months.
Let me commend the Abia State government for this great initiative, especially the Osa highway arrangement. I'm told that it is going to be a 6-lane arrangement into the capital of Umuahia. It's a great one. We are also told that demolition have already commenced, that about 60% of the creation of access has already been achieved by government so far. And like it's always, people would disagree. We are told that some people are still crying over non-payment of compensation. But Mr. C, the comfort here is that one of the active participants, the general manager of Umuahia Capital Development Authority, is also from Osa. We are told Mr. Kesley Agomo is from Osa. So if the participator, the active participator, the principal participator in the project is also from the community, I don't think he will shortchange his community. He will take the interests of government and also the interests of his community side by side to make sure that nobody is losing. So I'm commending government for that project. It's a worthy project. It will change the face, the entrance face of the capital of Abia.
It's an open parliament. Apologies for that break. We still have a guest, Interpol Systems consultant, Chikwe Udensi. You want to drop that point before the break, sir?
Yes, having done that of a community, I also commend government for trying to open up and making it more travelable the Aba Port Harcourt Expressway. It's a major expressway that encourages economic activity in Aba. If you see the proximity of Aba and Port Harcourt, and also the business activities that goes on between the two, that is what ought to be done.
Industrial innovation.
No, not the industrial, the port.
Okay.
That supplies goods to Aba is from One in Port Harcourt. It's from One, and if there's no proper accessibility of goods movement to and fro from Aba to Port Harcourt, it will hinder to a large extent. And it has continued to hinder economic activities in Abia State. So I'm happy that government is going to put immediate palliatives to make sure that the road is more travelable. And I'm happy it is being done in a record time of, we are told, in 4 weeks' time. As for the industrial center, we are told it is Owaza project. We have had several industrial centers in our client. The one that is quite close to us is the one from the Owerri Industrial Park that was initiated by Mbakwe during the formation of Owerri layouts. And I remember very clearly from the records, there was a company called Fingerhut and Partners. It was Fingerhut and Partners that created the industrial park, gave the blueprints for industrial park in Owerri. And also the PRODA, the Project Development Agency in Enugu, is also an industrial park. All these things are geared and geared towards ensuring that industrial activities are properly generated within the system. And now, to our own happiness, Abia State is coming with the Abia Industrial and Innovation Park in Awaza, that Mr. C. It is very, very important that in doing this, we should consider the problems that the industrial park in Owerri and the program in Enugu, the problems that made them not optimize the capacity. The problems are very simple and very, very effective. You can see no industrial park can function without some basic requirements. Number one, Mr. C, there must be availability of infrastructure. Right now, you and I know, Mr. C, that Owaza is in Okwa area and there are no accessible roads to Okwa. Okwa does not have any distant road leading into it, whether Okwa east or west or north or south. There is no distant road going into Okwa. Despite the fact that Okwa is the hub where the wealth of the nation, part of the wealth of the nation comes from, and also the benefits of the state. Okwa does not have that privilege. Mr. C, don't also forget that the issue of power is very essential. There cannot be any developmental activity industrially without power. Any development you're talking about where you don't have power, Mr. C, it's an effort in security. And also security. You cannot expect where investors will come in to invest and then be kidnapped and killed, maimed, and detained. We do not need that. Government will first and foremost, if you ask me, first and foremost, in ensuring that they put together an Abia industrial park, make sure the various indices that will support the park, security, infrastructure, power. If these things are not there, Mr. C, it is difficult to have the park work very well. But let me commend government for having that initiative. Whenever we have our people moving around the world asking for people to come and invest, Mr. C, we are always opposed to it because investors, they are ants. They are like ants. Good infrastructure, good conditions, it's like sugar. Mr. C, if you your house, clean up your house very well, fumigate your house, but then once you drop sugar on the floor, you from nowhere, ants will come. That is what investors are like. Sugar is a good environment, and investors are like ants. They will come from left, right, and center to make sure that they harness the benefits of a good environment. If the environment is not good, the issue of bringing investors will not work.
Absolutely. Oh, we'll go for a break shortly. But before the break, you did say sometime on this platform that, hey, everything that has to do with politics would be relegated to the back burner as you would be concentrating on your charity, because you have a foundation called Build a New Abia Foundation. We understand there has been a change in leadership, and that's on the one side. The other side, where we are gradually coming to the end of 2023. What plans does Bana have for the people of Abia State and maybe indeed Nigerians? We'll also talk about the refutal by the Abia State government on 2 press conferences by youths were the first alleging that Governor T was using Abia State funds to sponsor the Labour Party presidential candidate at the tribunal, Peter Obi. The second by another group alleging that Dr. Alex Oti is sponsoring the indigenous people of Biafra IPOP to cause terror in the state. This has been refuted by the Abia State government. Stay with us. Midweek edition Open Parliament.
Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation.
Live on the frequency. My name is Mr. Sia, guest Interpol Systems Consultant and Security Expert. Chikwe Udensi is still virtual on the program this morning. Well, before we talk about the Build a New Abia Foundation banner, a foundation which you won, let's still look at a story that involves Abia State with two groups having separate press conferences alleging a thing or two. First, that the governor was using Abia State funds to sponsor the Labour Party presidential candidate, and the other sponsoring the indigenous people of Biafra IPOP to cause terror in the state. Allegations that has been refuted by the special advisor to the Abia State governor on media and publicity in a press conference as well, Mr. Ferdinand Ekoma, who was pointed accusing finger on the two political parties currently in court against the governor being the brain behind the said allegations, and have also called on security agencies to fish out the culprits and bring them to book. I recall that we're going to be expecting the Goba judgment October 6th, a couple of days from now. As a matter of fact, that would be on Friday. Politics taken too far is going by the comment of Mr. Ferdinand Ekoma on those allegations, you think?
Well, I have listened to both groups. Mr. C, I'm one of those who believe in freedom of speech. I've always believed that people should be allowed to air their opinion. People should be allowed to say what they think is right or what is wrong. But Mr. C, I also believe that freedom of speech should come with some responsibility. You must have to make sure that your allegations, you have facts associated with your allegations. And like you know, Mr. C, I've always insisted and I've always proposed that we must have to have a responsible opposition. We don't have to have a destructive opposition. If opposition comes with information that is only intended to destroy, well, that's exactly what we are seeing in Abia right now. We're not seeing negotiated and reasonable, balanced arguments between the government and opposition. When government speaks, it speaks at the extreme, and when opposition wants to destroy, they destroy at extreme. Mr. C, number one, the issue of sponsorship of the judicial process of P2B by Alex Oti. Even without being a governor, Alex Oti contributed in the electioneering of P2B sensibly. Alex Oti is not a poor man and has ever been. He's a very successful and an accomplished entrepreneur who, apart from being the managing director of a bank, retired, he also has lots of investments, home and abroad. So he has the capacity to provide funding. But I also believe that if anybody has any evidence to show that Alex Oti has dipped his hand into the tills of Abia State to fund P2B's judicial inquiry, then let us give us the evidence. If allegations are not fraudulent allegations that are intended to destroy the government, we must have to have responsibility that goes with that freedom of speech. Secondly, that the government is sponsoring IPOB sounds to me as a very irresponsible allegation. It sounds a very stupid allegation, Mr. C. Forgive my French. People should make reasonable allegations and then back those allegations with facts. Yes, Electricity can fund the judicial process of P2B if he has the personal funding. But I do not believe that he needs to put his hands into the tails of Abia. And if anybody has any evidence that he has put his hands into the tails of Abia, let him make it available. Frivolous allegations should be discouraged and discouraged completely.
Open Parliament, live on the frequency. Interpol Systems consultant and security expert, Chikwe Udensi. And don't forget, this program is streamed live on ABN Radio and TV. You can follow the program. Right, they'll be going to the phone line shortly. But quickly, on these allegations, I mean, you've tried to put it straight the way you can, but the talk about being machinated by the opposition parties who are currently in court with the governor of Abia State. I mean, is this tilting towards politics, you think? Any sense in the comments by the special advisor to the governor on media and publicity, Mr. Ferdinand Ekoma?
Yes, I've always seen extreme positions, both from the government and from opposition. I have never seen either the opposition trying to commend government where they have done something right, nor have I seen government, especially the spokesperson, use subtle words, different words against opposition. So there has been to be a cat and mouse game and fight, which we have seen in Abia State. Like I said last time I came here on Open Parliament, Mr. C, Abia is in their need of patriots. We need patriotic Abians who will see things the way they are, in all honesty and fairness. We don't need opposition that will be destroying government, even government when government is doing something good. And we don't need government spokesmen who use very extreme and arrogant language to destroy opposition. Government agencies, government agents also have to find subtle ways, knowing that they are working for the public. And the public is the master here, not government. So we, the public, is the master. You must have to find a way to use subtle language for the public. But then, that public must have to make responsible allegations. When those allegations are irresponsible, there are consequences that should go with it.
Okay, let's get to Bana, the Building New Abia Foundation. It's your foundation. We understand there has been a change of leadership. Can you update us on what's happening there?
Yes, the DG, the Director General of Bana, Engineer Uche Adele, has gotten a sponsorship for a master's program in United Kingdom. And he has gone to study in the United Kingdom. And Bana is also helping in sponsoring him. So with the absence of the DG, we decided to take the opportunity to appoint a new DG and also to renovate the Bana Center. The Bana Center needs some level of renovation, especially in the area of ventilation. We have to make sure that the place is properly ventilated. I saw the sufferings of elderly persons whenever they come for Bana projects and programs. So we need to ventilate the place a little better. And we also need to provide a medical center, permanent medical center in our Bana office. And also the kitchen. We must have to have a kitchen. You don't have to bring elderly persons and don't provide food, good food for them. So we want to create a permanent center in this in our Bana office. And also we want to also see the possibility of extending the Bana Center to Uma here and Ohatia. That will come from next year. But right now, we'll make sure that the Bana Center in Aba is well and well renovated to commence activities. Mr. C, we have found that despite government efforts, we have seen that there are still some complaints from elderly persons and also retirees. There are still serious complaints. In fact, we receive on the average 25 to 30 complaints every day on their sufferings. And we can't close our eyes. So what we are going to do is to quickly renovate the Banner Center and then appoint a new DG. Right now we have appointed a new DG, and the new DG is in the person of Ambassador Igorom Okiyi. Ambassador Okiyi is going to be the new DG. Very competent. He has been in your program several in SSC.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yes. And he has the competence to run our program in Banner. And we are going to improve on some of the activities in Banner to make sure that as government, in their good gesture, alleviate the sufferings of elderly persons and retirees, we must have to make sure that this comes to play in a better form. Mr. C, I also realize that there are so many elderly persons that are not covered under the retirement platform of the state. The state is only catering for retirees from state civil service. There are so many other elderly persons that are suffering. These are the majority of the people that are calling us, asking us to please come to their rescue. Most of them have been abandoned by their families. Most of them don't even have good relationship with their families. Most of them don't even have families in the first instance. So what we shall do is that in Banner, we will extend amelioration, palliatives, more essentially to these categories of elderly persons that don't have anybody to help them. This is what we are going to be doing in Banner. For now, there's no politicking for me. In fact, I have stayed away from politics. All we want to do is channel our resources, channel our efforts to helping those who ordinarily cannot help themselves.
I mean, your wife has been doing a yeoman's job, some would say behind the scenes, in terms of programs you churn out from through your foundation. Again, what plans do we have in the offing for the end of the year for those targeted beneficiaries?
Yes, don't forget that my wife is the change maker president of Rotary International. She's always behind me, very effective. She has put together a few projects which we will be unveiling through the Director General of Banner. Most of my programs on radio will also be handled by the new Director General, Ambassador Chigoram Okiyi. So most of these programs are being articulated. But for the immediate, we are going to quickly ensure that the medical center of the Banner in Aba Center and also the kitchen is properly functional. So elderly persons do not just necessarily have to come only during the Banner days, which is Mondays. No, at any given time, any elderly person can walk in and be taken care of medically or be given something to eat if there is availability of food. We'll have to find how best to put these things in place so that it is for the benefit of those who ordinarily cannot help themselves.
0816-111-5955 or 0701-651-4107. These are the phone lines. 1 minute if you come through. We'll have a caller. Good morning, Open Parliament.
Good morning, Mr. C. and Mr. Chikwe Udensi.
Good morning to you.
Yes, Ugonna Eric from Ajatolokoro. I want to agree to a very large extent with the submissions of Mr. Udensi over what the president said and issues about labor and the Nigerian economy, income, and facilities, and all that. And their negotiation with labor. It means that they have a good negotiating team. And I also like the comparison he made with the immediate past administration that was just to use the one guy and one additional. He's going to say all sorts about it. But one aspect that touches me over all that he said now is the latter part of the discussion, that he was making comparisons, which is very, very apt. between government vituperations and the way the government person keeps attacking the use of strong words. You understand? Look, in the immediate past administration of Abia State, I saw I'm sorry I'm mentioning him. You understand? When he took over from JOK, he was like he wanted to show the whole world that he could quarrel, he could insult and could do this. And it didn't go well, and those were part of the failures of the immediate past government and administration. You understand? That the recklessness of languages, you understand, attack and all that. And the current person, please, should tone down his, state your points clearly. The people, the masses are so little behind you. But if you engage in all these necessary quarrels, distractions, and then use of, haughty languages, it does not portray you as a very intelligent person. You understand? Your vocabulary in bad words does not make you thoroughly educated.
Okay.
What you do is make sure that you are stating facts. But again, in all the submissions of your, yes, he has refused, and although he didn't ask, to let government of the day in Abia State to please attach cost, accountability, among spent for this project, whether it is on roads or whatever. So these are necessary ingredients for democracy, and we need it badly.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Eric. Thank you. Hello, good morning. Another caller.
Mr. T, you are listed in life.
Thank you.
Chikwe Udensi, you are blessed in life. Excellent.
Thank you.
Welcome.
If you want to get attention, you cause distraction. That is what PDP people are doing. If you can see what are doing, Chikwe Udensi is an African man. He balances or talk. It's something applicable to KZLA, Anya, so all of them are. If even Gladys, there is in SDP, they are candidates. Now, what are these things? You see that they will get all of these people that I mentioned, that they will form formidable opposition. But JOK carries their station on a Tuesday. He said that they will form the opposition. He said it before radio houses for their station to flow. The same day. That happened on a Tuesday. On a Wednesday, the following day, somebody was beheaded in the Equator party. But this government is taking it lightly. Unlike them. You can see what is happening, but I thank God that if God wants to bless the righteous, he came up to he frustrates the wicked.
Okay.
People, those Pharaoh, glad.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll take one more of your calls and then we get back to our guest, Open Parliament Midweek Edition. Hello, good morning. Last caller.
Hello, Mr. T.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Chikwe Udensi.
Good morning, sir.
I just want to, I always appreciate you. I always think.
What's your name? What's your name, please?
My name is Friday.
Okay.
I just want to thank you, appreciate you for your good work. Whenever you speak, I enjoy it. And my prayer one day will be our government. That's my prayer.
All right.
So I just want to plead you. I was the person that was calling you about my health. Please to help me for the operation that I want to do.
Thank you very much.
I will be able to remain, please, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I did not hear him very well, Mr. C. The last thing he said about surgery or something.
Oh yes, talking about his health.
What did he say, sir? Sorry, I didn't hear it very well.
I guess he's talking about maybe going for surgery or something.
Well, if we can help benefit, if he can benefit from our efforts, we can benefit, please.
All right, very well, sir. Well, what would be your parting words? We have less than a minute before the end of the show.
Opposition uses words that they cannot substantiate in attacking this government. Today, we require and demand good governance from the government, and all efforts should be towards that. Opposition should be constructive in ensuring that they use proper language in administering administering whatever opposition they have. On the same vein, Mr. C, I must have to a large extent disassociate myself and condemn some of the words that come from those who speak for government. They're not very constructive. They're not very understanding of what opposition is all about. Whatever opposition should be doing should be for the betterment of the state. All efforts are towards the betterment of the state, both those in government and those in opposition. The direct line is, how is Abia better off? So when people criticize government, they shouldn't see it as criminals. They shouldn't see it as people who don't have anything to offer. There should be some level of constructive condemnation from government. Then opposition should have responsibility in their opposition. When you make allegations carry responsibilities. It carries very serious attached reprimands if need arises. So I am begging Abians, let us look for patriotic Abians who should say things the way they are and say it in with all level of honesty.
All right.
And then Abia will be better off.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll leave it there, Chikwe Udensi, for coming through on Open Parliament this morning.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. C. I appreciate that.
Thanks, listener, for being a part. Return same time, same station next week, midweek edition Open Parliament with a regular guest, Interpol systems consultant and security expert, Chikwe Udensi. Don't forget, this program was streamed live on ABN Radio and TV. To do so, hopefully next week. My name